everybody. Welcome back to Three Beards and a Ball. Paul, what happened, bro?
I was just, growing out a beard because somebody here, not going to name any names, said that, agents can't grow beards, or at least not a full beard. And,
I don't know if anybody said that. I think maybe you were intimidated by the beardness going on by Jake and I.
You know what?
And your water cooler talk conversation in the back of your head started self-doubting, and so you had to prove something to yourself.
Yeah,
I think so.
You made that up big
Yeah,
time.
you made that up, bro.
But you know what it is though? It's I feel included now because I'm not the only one without a beard anymore.
There you go. Does it grow in like that, or do you have to like shave it?
It actually grows in like this, and it actually got really itchy on day 5. I think I started to really like scratch the crap out of it.
Did you get the brush and the beard balm?
I put oil on it. So my wife got me this whole bearded thing. I'm not sure what it's called, but it came with like a brush, a comb, some scissors, oil, wax, a shampoo that I had to use on my beard and leave on for 3 minutes.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I mean, it's a small kit. It's not.
Sounds like a California kit,
bro. I tried the oil, but it made me break out a little bit because I have sensitive skin. So I went with the cream, the leave-in conditioner. I'll hook you up, bro. I'll let you know what I'm using. It's good. But anyways, what's the ball today, guys?
it's time to move on to session 2 of our active threat, active shooter preparedness type of mindset we want to push out to our audience out there. So, Paul, what do you think?
No, I think that's very very good considering what happened this past Wednesday, 9 miles from my house. Literally 9 miles from my house. The Orange, California shooting at a business complex where 4 people were killed, including a child of 9. And the assailant was a 44-year-old person that knew all the victims, which, I don't want it to be like a statistic, but it falls right into what the FBI has been tracking over the last 21 years now. It falls directly into everything the FBI's have been tracking. Usually, if it's business related, the active shooter knows the person and they'll shoot the specific targeted person, followed by whoever else is going to be in that plaza.
Yeah. So let me transition to what happened yesterday, close to where I live in our nation's capital. So I kind of threw in our last episode, hey guys, don't forget vehicle attacks because they are so easy. Yep. They are so target of opportunity based, and they're also very hasty. So a Capitol police officer was killed yesterday in a vehicle attack while he was on post. And, it's important to note that a vehicle is a very deadly weapon, whether by intent or by negligence.
Yep.
So that's important to note as well. I did mention that. And then again, this just happened right up here the other day. So I think one thing I want to do is just go right into case studies, because we talked about when we ended the last episode, we go a little bit deeper with this. And I think today covering case studies would be valuable, especially I'm going to stay in the lane that I work full time right now, which I have for the last 5 years, which is the K through 12 environment. So I want to cover 2 case studies. And the first one is one that happened at the end of 2017.
Clock's running, just so you know.
Okay, roger that.
Don't go too long. Because I'm not smart.
Hey, why don't you go put that 3-minute thing on your beard?
I just don't have information, but I do have personality, and that's got to come out at some point. Okay.
Hey. When I need some 800 milligram Motrin, I'll let you know, Doc. Okay. Okay.
Drink water.
I got the Virgil's.
Okay. The minute of your time.
Aztec High School shooting, December 8th, 2017. So a former student came into the school, and when would be a good time to come into a school when you're not a student? Arrival? Yeah. When thousands of kids are walking into the school, and you just throw your hoodie on up and you walk in and throw your backpack on and walk right in, blending in as a student. And what happened is this individual went up and they hid in the bathroom, and they waited for the bell to ring, because what they wanted to do was attack the computer lab right outside of the bathroom. So the shooter was about to start his attack because the bell to start classes had rang, and a student walked into the bathroom to use the bathroom, and boom, that became his first victim. Shot and killed that student right there, right in the hall, in the front hallway of the bathroom. Excuse me. So now he realized, okay, the attack is on. I gotta go. I'm on the clock. He comes out the bathroom, sees a student in the hallway, walking to class, I guess a little bit tardy. Boom, shoots her, kills her. As soon as this first shot was taken, the computer lab had a substitute teacher who was, I think she was in her 70s, retired teacher, but she was a substitute. And I know this working in where I work in schools is oftentimes subs they're like the B team or even like the C team at the best. This substitute didn't have a key to lock her door. And this school was one of those old schools that had doors that you lock from the outside. So what she did is she barricaded herself in a secondary room within that computer lab. And she also couldn't lock that door. But that secondary room was an inward. It was the door opened into the room. So it was an inward opening door, which means it was an easier to barricade type of door with physical items. There was a small couch in there. She told the kids, she had 17 students with her. She told the 17 students, push that couch up against that door, get down low, and just be quiet and be quiet. The shooter came through the computer lab where the door was unlocked, the main door from the hallway. Didn't see any kids. He went to that secondary door and he said, I know you're effing in there. I know you're in there. And started shooting through the door. And guess what? He shot and killed no kids that were hiding in that secondary room. The only two that he killed, unfortunately, were those quick 2 targets he had out there right at the beginning. And then once he went out in the hallway, the custodian had radioed to the school central office, the main school office downstairs. They put out an all call for their terminology was shelter in place. That was for their active threat terminology. The police got called. The shooter came out into the hallway from the computer lab after not shooting anyone else, and he ended his life in the hallway once police responded. Shot and killed himself. So I cover that case study because that is important. Not even 2 months later, or just over 2 months later, excuse me, Parkland High School was attacked in 2018, on February 14th, on Valentine's Day, and 17 lives were taken that day. And I've seen the debrief of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas committee present at national conferences twice. And I've seen the combined 5 minutes of the video from the entire camera system around the school twice. That shooter literally owned the battle space. He did not go into one classroom at Parkland High School to shoot any kids. He shot them either in the hallway if they were out there in a study group, or he shot them through the door or the window panel on their door. The door was shut. He shot them through that. And we all call that in the military the fatal funnel. He shot kids through the fatal funnel. And then once he was done his rampage all through all 3 floors, he tried to shoot kids through the windows upstairs in the teacher lounge as they were exiting. And luckily it had hurricane glass on there. So a lot of the bullets would hit and they'd kind of drop. So trajectory wasn't something that he was able to do. But he killed 17 people, students and staff, in that school in 5 minutes. And what's unfortunate is that school realized that their training for active threat drills was non-existent. So I bring these 2 case studies up, very similar situations at high schools. It could have been very similar in the death count, but the training from that substitute teacher, she always said, going back to Aztec High School, she always said when she was interviewed after that attack, she said, I remembered my training when I was taught my training when I was a full-time teacher. I was remembered my training, and it said, just look for options. Look for options. So those are my 2 case studies to quickly cover.
5 minutes and 20 seconds, bro. Like a boss. Nice. What can we learn from these, right? So I think when we think of active shooter, active threats, a lot of the people in the public, we go back to the South Hollywood bank shooting, right? To where those guys hung out forever, duked it out with the cops. They had sewn body armor together, and they were just completely calm. And they just took on an entire police force, but they were drugged up. And so there's a perception out there that shooters are ultra calm, ultra in control when they enter a space. But that is actually, if you look at what happens in most shootings, that guy in the bathroom, right? The first one that he shot in the bathroom, the killer realized the clock is on. I have a limited amount of time, and their anxiety quickly rises. They get caught in their own tunnel vision. And the fact of the matter that he knew that the computer lab was empty and they were all in there, and yet he could not intellectually recreate a strategy to engage properly through a closed locked door, which would not be a ballistic door. That shows you that the frame of mind of most of these shooters is not so calm, cool, and collected, not so calculated that they just own the situation, right? There's a lot of opportunity for people in these situations to do small things that make all of the difference. And then going back to the Parkland shooting, right? He didn't even go in any classrooms. Now, I don't know if he had a strategy on that or whatever, but he was probably just looking for whatever was easiest because, again, he knows he's on the clock. And these people, they're not normally like trained firearms military people that can keep a sense of calm. This is also their first time. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of information action for them to track. And so I think as civilians, when we think, what would it be like to be caught in this? We give the shooter too much credit because of our fear. Do you guys think that's an accurate statement?
Yes. I'll let Paul go first, but yes.
No, I absolutely agree. And that's the thing is that, in all of the active shooter incidences, one of the things that the active shooter himself or herself, there are women that do this, not a lot, but there are women. The last thing they expect is for people to react to them, is to attack them, right? Because the whole point, the whole reason, right, why active shooters do such things is to maintain a sense of control. They want to take control back because at some point they lost control and they couldn't get it back. So their version of getting the power back is by taking it out on the people that supposedly wronged them, right?
I love that Jake brought up that in the Parkland shooting, the classrooms had hurricane glass, right? And so, like, if you don't know what hurricane glass is, it is glass that has a thick plastic laminate behind it so that you can put it in your home so that if a projectile, like a piece of a tree branch, or a street sign gets hurled into your home, that window will arrest it and it won't go through your home and cause lots of damage inside. It won't penetrate. So the glass will break, but that window will not shatter out very easily, and it will generally slow down or contain a projectile. So as meant for grabbing like blunt projectiles thrown around by hurricane wind, it is not ballistic. It is highly force resistant. But remember, I think I talked about this in the first episode. When a shooter encounters something that is unexpected to them, so take, for instance, the Sandy Hook shooting. He walked up to the school windows, he shot them, they shattered. That's how he made entry. Had they been using hurricane glass, he would have shot and shot and shot and shot for 5 minutes waiting for them to shatter. And he would have probably never got out of that OODA loop, right? He would have never got out of that mental loop, and he probably stayed outside because, like, why isn't this shattering? This doesn't make sense. That's probably a reason why that kid at Parkland didn't actually effectively engage or enter those classrooms. Maybe he was expecting that glass to break and it didn't.
Well, no, okay. So sorry, that was exterior windows that he was shooting out of. So on the 3rd floor, all the kids started running out. So he shot outside of exterior windows towards kids running down three stories below. Separate from that, classroom doors, they bullets went right through that. So he was killing kids through the wooden doors and the wooden and the glass panel doors. Those, I don't have any knowledge of them being hurricane glass. I don't think they would be, because they'd be window panes for doors internal. So I want to clarify. I want to make sure that that wasn't a confused thing.
Perfect.
So I want to add though, I just dumped it. Okay. I want to add the part of like a two-way gunfight. Okay. A two-way gunfight is, I mean, and I'm sure all three of us have been in those. A two-way gunfight is so different than a one-way gunfight. Okay. This is why. Look, I'm not saying that people are going to have guns to respond to an active threat situation. Okay. As a force multiplier. So if someone has a gun and you don't, the fight's not over. You have options. You know the environment way better than that person, likely. Okay. Like discipline is very important as well. Okay. If you can shut lights off, if you can close blinds, those are secondary things to do if the threat is immediate and right outside your door. However, the strong wall, fatal funnel should be your friend. Getting low, getting concealment, getting cover wherever you might be able to is your friend. Okay. If they can't see you, whose advantage is that? Yours. But my whole thing is I sense this and I see this as it's control, where someone has this firearm ownership. They're taking ownership of the situation with a projectile weapon, and they're likely thinking they won't encounter that back. And that's the thing. Just throwing a friggin' chair at them. Okay. Just taking a chair and spiking them with it as they're breaking through your doors, your barricade, is a weapon. But sitting back on your butt, this is what I wanted to bring up real quick. So real quick, Tim and Paul, go ahead, get behind you, sit down on the floor behind you really fast. Okay. Just sit down on the floor behind you really fast. Sit on your butt like you're hanging out. Sit on your butt. Okay. Hey, Tim. Hey, Paul, we're going to have to do an active threat drill. Okay. Hey, guys, what I want you to do, I want you to go sit down on your bottoms. Okay. And we're going to simulate there's a threat outside of our door. Okay. But I want you to go sit on your bottoms and just sit there and shut up. Okay. And don't move. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, guys. All right. End exercise. You can get back up.
Well,
Okay.
I wasn't prepared for that.
Okay. Now, did you feel like you had options if I told you to sit on your butt and wait for this active threat situation right outside your door?
No.
Okay. Now, guys, take a knee. Same thing. Take a knee, please. Take a knee. Same thing. Hey, guys, we're going to do this drill. I want you to kneel down like a little copperhead snake. And if someone comes to that door, I want you to friggin' take them out and just strike, strike, strike. Good to go. Hit them fast, hit them hard, hit them often. Okay. Now, bang, bang, bang. They broke through the door. Take them down, Tim. Take them down, Tim. Take them down, Paul. Okay. And exercise. Exercise is over. Would you rather sit on your butt and wait for this threat to take you out? Or would you rather kneel down and ready to get creative?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, the three of us have been in the military. We've done the combat zone thing. I think we would all rather do, but why isn't that given? It's probably a liability thing, right?
No.
It's just, it's funny how different states have different ways of looking at things, because, and this is kind of important, because one of the things that I realized when I was teaching the active shooter courses, and this was given to me by an ex police lieutenant, actually deputy assistant chief, that's probably a better way to say it, that said that the reason why, and this is a pretty direct quote, the reason why police departments don't push for active shooter training for private businesses in California, I can't speak for any of the state, is because they don't want to get sued. Because if they say something like, for example, kneel, right, and let's say they attack and they get killed when they kneeled and the guy shot them, the parents can come back and say, well, my kid did exactly what you said and he's no longer here, so I'm going to sue you, right? Without realizing that it's a good practice. And regardless of what you said, Jake, you're absolutely right. right? It is better from a kneeling position than a than a seating position. But the thing is that it's not an as is, right? A lot of people, when they're taught something, it's like, well, if you do A, you will get B, C, D, and E. But the problem is that the situation and the tactical situation of every active shooter incident is, although the foundations are roughly the same and the psychology is roughly the same, the situation, the layout, the mood, the reactionary time, for Hicks laws, all that stuff is different. So just like a battle space, we as veterans understand that, yeah, we can plan for a specific route, but we don't know what's on that route. So we plan for contingencies. And even those contingencies sometimes fall out because we expected it to be this way, but it was actually a completely different way of that they came at us, right? So we have to make tactical decisions on the fly all the time. And that's the one aspect that I don't want to say civilians, that the general public do not understand, is that active shooter incidents are not identical. They're not a cookie cutter incident. The battle space, what we've got to call battle space, is always changing and always evolving. And what we're doing is we're trying to give people, like we all said earlier, options and ways to deal with it rather than just sitting there and going, duh.
So, there's another thing that I want to throw out to you guys. So we talked last time about the bias, right? That I forget what you called it, but bad things won't happen to me. Things are going to work out better. Thank you. Optimism bias. And as a society, we've trended towards somebody will take care of me. Somebody will help. Somebody will come. And we see this played out over and over with natural disasters and things like that. And so I'm wondering, the difference in training, sit down and wait versus kneel down and be ready. Is that a reflection of where our society is at right now with that optimism bias, and also like somebody will come, don't worry, you won't have to take care of this yourself?
So I think what it is a lack of actually having the forced training possible. So I work for a large school division that is they're very creative in what they're going to do. A lot of school divisions, they do check in the box, minimum required. So if, let's say I am said school division, okay, I need to make sure I tell my parent clients that we're good to go, schools are safe. Hey, if a crisis occurs, we're ready for it. Woo-hoo! You know why? Because we do our state mandated drills, and they're like, we're like so ninjas here. Okay.
Right.
So that's crap. And Paul just said that because it's like the freebie answer in the tactical world. Situation dictates, that's like the freebie all the time in our world. So the idea here is we have to have civilian companies, like Paul mentioned, government entities that are sworn law enforcement don't want to touch civilian entities, organizations to train them. Fine. That's why there's civilian companies like me and the ones that Paul works with, because we need to push the envelope of saying, look, you aren't getting what is really needed. The reality of it is you really can't have enough. You just need some creativity, because options are what you need, not just what you think in your head is absolute.
Mindset.
That's right. Mindset is everything.
And I mean, in the military and in law enforcement and in security and executive protection, all security disciplines, we know that we prepare plans because that time will come. And we know the plans aren't going to be perfect, but even just having pre-thought through, if this happens, ideally, here's what would happen, here's how we would respond, and thinking through, hey, what if we did this? How would it impact the situation, right? That's why you go to baseball practice. You don't know what the batter is going to do when he gets in the batter's box, but you generally know they can hit it to the infield, to these different positions, they can hit it to the outfield, and you can run through those scenarios, even though the scenarios will never play out like they did in baseball practice. They're never going to be as clean. You don't know, hey, we're going to practice this. But the more you mentally prepare yourself, because even Little League practice isn't really physical practice. It's conditioning the neural pathways to react to a situation, right? So that you can get that out at the base. And if we can teach that to little leaguers, we can teach a more agile mindset, how to prepare yourself for when you are brought into a higher risk situation, or when you opt into a higher risk situation, or maybe you don't even realize you're in a higher risk situation until something kicks off.
Yeah.
But
All right.
if
So,
you do some pre-thinking and pre-planning, you're going to be ahead of the game.
all right. Yes. 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 Condition response. Perfect. Perfect verbiage. I just want to put one last thing out there on this. I challenge anybody out there who has kids or has nieces and nephews or any kids that in a school environment, have them show you what they do to train for their active threat, active shooter stuff at school. Have them show you, not tell you, have them show you. And then the second thing is have them do the drill I just mentioned, where okay, simulate, go sit on your bottoms. Okay, boom, 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 boom. There's a threat right outside the door. Okay, how do you feel right now? That threat that's trying to break this door down and come take you out. Do you feel like you have options sitting down? And then do it again. Have them kneel. Have them kneel down like a little freaking copperhead, and then boom, boom, boom. There's that threat again. Everybody who has kids, I do it with my second grader. I started doing it with her when she was in kindergarten. She told me when I asked her to show me what she did at her school, she showed me, and I asked her, "How do you feel sitting over there in the corner, sitting down in what they call it, left or right or friggin' crisscross applesauce nowadays instead of Indian style or whatever." So anyway, she's like, "Daddy, I feel scared." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Why do you feel scared?" She goes, "Well, at school, my teacher looks scared too. So I think we all feel scared." That matters. Okay. We're scared of that situation, but we can't add more fear in what we do with our physical body. We got to give ourselves some courage in where we place ourselves. So I'll stop there.
But Jake, what if I don't want to terrify my young child and make them live in fear and give them anxiety by talking about these things? Isn't it better just to hope it doesn't happen?
Well, that's why we have state mandated drills at public schools. So you can send your kid to a private school or homeschool them, and you can live in the trees. Okay.
That's why we do fire drills, right? So the thing is talking about these things actually reduces anxiety if you have a constructive conversation.
Right.
Do you agree with that, Paul?
I do. Having a constructive conversation is better than just ignoring it and closing your ears, going la 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 la, and pretending like it's not going to happen. That going la 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 is not really a good idea.
It's gonna be a trailer for this episode.
Can you do that one more time?
La la la.
He's like, what's that? Oh man, Brandon Fraser played the caveman.
Encino Man.
Yes.
Pauly Shore.
There it is. But yeah, I mean, like pretending like it's not going to happen isn't a very good insurance, strategy to use. All joking aside, we case study after case study after case study, we've seen people, with their optimism bias running so deep that even as you're seeing things happening in front of them, that they still don't believe it's happening.
Yeah.
That's like literally saying like, oh, everybody sees a truck in your front yard, right? Because the truck drove up the curb, and you swore up and down it's a freaking buggy, and everyone's looking at you like crazy. But it happens all the time in active shooter incidents. People are literally seeing things happen in front of them, and they couldn't believe it. I mean, there was one incident. It was a couple of years back at a hospital, a mass shooting. The lady was like, "Yeah, I was in a daze. Like she felt like she was in a dream because she was so scared. She felt like she was in a dream."
Yeah,
And in the military, we train our NCOs, our junior enlisted, to watch for that, right? Because that is a human reaction. The first couple times that you are in a dangerous situation, you see combat, certain people, and this is depicted in movies, kind of freeze up. They're like, what do I do? And all it takes is somebody to give them a little shake to snap them back into reality and be like, you know what to do.
Yeah.
And so how do we provide that motivation? How do we recognize that problem and provide that motivation?
So that, the stress inoculation is kind of a good term for that. So that natural 3 to 5 second lull is really you processing that term like OODA loop,
Yep.
or even what you mentioned before, Paul, with the our last episode. But observe, orient, decide, act is OODA loop. Of course, we all know that. but it's really processing what's going on and taking away. I call it like, it's like the light switch. When it goes from 0 to 100, that energy it's either fear-based, or you can take it and separate it to be excitement-based. If you let it be fear-based, it will own you. If you let it be excitement-based, it works with your readiness as wanting to thrive in life. So I look at it as just splitting that energy to being supporting your outcome of living and trying to thrive in that given situation once you can wake up out of that inoculation.
Nice. That's a great place to end on. Hey, everybody. This is going to be a 3-episode series on active threat, active shooter. We introduced the ball. We've played catch with the ball today. And next time, we're putting the ball in play.
And we got beards.
And we got 3 beards. Whoop, whoop. See you next time. Hey, everybody. We are here to talk about a brand new initiative called 3 Guys in the Ball.